that. You let me know when.
I'm ready.
Good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the Thursday, May 1st, 2025 regular meeting of the North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission order at 6:31 p.m. In attendance for today's meeting is alternate member Caruso, regular member Sion, Ponder, Siena, and I'm acting chair Galdenzi. First order of business, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so, 16th, yeah. So the next order of business, we're going to try to do the January 16th minutes. Ron was here, Ron was here, Barry was here, so we can do it. So if any, you guys, Barry and Ron, if you haven't looked at them, take a look, let me know if you have any comments, otherwise we'll get a motion to approve them. These were left over, the last meeting we could not approve these, we didn't have enough members. Okay. 16.
I motion we accept the meeting minutes from January 16th, 2025.
Second. Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstain? So, yep, Chris and Mary abstain, Keon and Caruso abstain. So, if we can, these were sent to us electronically, the April 17th. I don't know if anyone had a chance to review those. Does anyone have any comments? If majority have not reviewed it, it's okay, we'll just push it off.
I already read them at home.
I did too, so,
Yep.
yeah, okay.
I make a motion, we accept the meetings from April
17th.
17th, 2025.
Okay,
I'll
was-
second.
Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Opposed? Abstain?
Yes.
Okay. So that motion passes. Caruso, Siena, abstain. All right, thank you. All right, I think we're up to date with minutes, good. Next, public hearings. We don't have any public hearings. And under 5, old business, no old business. But under 6, under new business, we have a discussion in regards to sidewalks at Stefani's Way and 122 Parsonage Hill Road.
Good evening. We're John and Marjorie Bonadies. We live at 122 Parsonage Hill Road, or what will be known as 2 Stefania's Way. We're here to petition the sidewalks on both the north and the south side of the street as proposed in this summer or early fall's 2024 meetings.
Yeah, when we're relatively new to town, we moved here a few years ago, and we're the 4th house, the last house that was built in the first phase of the project that this committee approved. Where that phase having been completed, in our deed and none of our paperwork on purchasing our property had any mention of sidewalks. There is an easement noted in our deed, and that easement is rather specific in saying that it's for utility maintenance and vehicular access, never a mention of pedestrian access. So you applying using an easement for something outside of what's intended for, legally, is considered overburdening. So there is some legal standpoint for us to be opposed to our, to the sidewalk being used in that easement, which is what is being proposed for. And that's on the south side of town, on the south side of the street where our home is. We're the only home with a frontage on the south side of the street.
And these lots are not quarter-acre lots. These are 2-acre lots. Our frontage is over 100 feet. So that's a huge burden for us to either have to shovel and clear snow and ice, purchase a snow blower to do the work, or to hire someone. That's an additional burden, not to mention increased liability, because the liability for a slip and fall falls on the homeowner, not on the town, not on the Planning and Zoning Commission. So this is overburdening us on our property. We bought our property knowing that we were going to be in a rural community. It's not an appropriate place for sidewalks. That's our feeling, because this was a family farm. This is not an urban setting. This is a side street off a side street, and these are large lots, large property lots. It's a huge burden to clear that much sidewalk on a homeowner.
I'd also like to bring up some of the history that I'm sure you folks might remember, but last end of summer, early fall, there were multiple meetings about this new phase of development that was going in, and there were concerns about traffic, about surface water, about wells, about blasting. And one of the things that came out of it was that one person who lives across the street from us, who has a little kid, was worried about a traffic burden coming down the street, and that's where the idea of sidewalks was born. And her request was agreed to by the committee. Now, in 2 sets of minutes, successive of those meetings, there mentions sidewalks on north side of town.
North side of the street.
Yeah, north side of the street, sorry, on the north side of the street. Now, in the last meeting
In
that was held, where we could not be in attendance, there
was an amendment made
regarding
both sides of the street to have sidewalks. Now, the only other street in town that has sidewalks is Doral Farms Road, which is right across from the high school. And there are sidewalks on one side of the street only, and it serves a purpose. It connects to a crosswalk over Route 80, which brings people to public amenities such as tennis courts and other things on the high school and middle school campus. These sidewalks proposed on this street lead to nowhere. There's no sidewalks on an adjacent street or anything. This is just one street singled out. And the developer who is here tonight has done other subdivisions in this town, and not one of them have been subject to sidewalks. Why this street? Why just this one?
And that includes on much busier streets, homes on much busier streets,
Middletown,
closer to the center of town, and where there are some other sidewalks, but none of those developments have had sidewalks. So the other thing I want to really emphasize is that our phase of construction was completed. When we closed on our property, we knew there was going to be another phase, but we were the last home in there, and there was never a mention, there's not mentioned in anywhere in our paperwork, that there was a consideration of sidewalk. So for it to be imposed on us post-closing, post-purchase, because it's the next phase, we are not opposed to them having sidewalks in the new phase, if that's what the P&Z wants to do, and put that burden on the new homeowners, and then the new people who want to buy in, they know about it up front, it won't be a surprise to them. But and if you want to have them on the north side on the other side of the street, it doesn't impact us, but we think that we've been really kind of singled out as the only home that's got to deal with this across their property. We have put in a lot of loam on our property to help build up the topsoil, because our loam, we had 0 topsoil at our home. We put in a new driveway. They want to cut across the driveway to put the sidewalk in, so they want to dig up. We understand there's an easement. We knew there was an easement, but again, I'll bring up the fact that the easement was for vehicular access and utility maintenance. No mention of sidewalks. You can't.
And another requirement or regulation on the subdivisions in the town is for no loam to be removed, and if there is loam removed, that there needs to be a 4-inch layer of loam measured after compaction to provide for landscaping, and that was not enforced. We had to bring in well over $10,000 worth of loam to grow grass. And now you're going to have us dig up the loam that we put in and the grass that we've hydroseeded. This is a large expense. And now you're going to have that dug up and put in a sidewalk. Again, overburdening the homeowner and the easement.
We moved to this town because we like the small town feel of it. We came from Hamden, which is just a mess in a lot of different ways, but one of the things that we liked about it was the rural feel of our town, where we bought our home, when we looked at the site, and we want to keep that feel. The developer's done, I think, an excellent job in maintaining that and the type of homes he built and how he sited the homes, et cetera. So I think the sidewalks were like, came out of nowhere. It was really a blindside to us that it hit affecting our property. And so we thank you for hearing our...
Yes, we just we're asking for a reconsideration of sidewalks. It also imposes an expense on the town down the road if these sidewalks crumble. We just walked in over sidewalks and curbs that are crumbling and not in good repair. So we know that with the town's budget process just behind us, that it would be a difficult burden to get the town to make repairs on sidewalks, and that's a long amount of sidewalks on both sides of the street. If there was any upheaval or cracking or anything like that. So the town is impacted with this as well.
And then once the town gets the road dedicated to them, then that all liability is going to fall directly back to us, which I don't know how that works, but it's not our property. It's your decision to put the sidewalk, yet our liability and our responsibility.
Again, that would increase our cost for homeowners insurance as well, for slip and falls. So those are our reasons for petitioning and the sidewalk and asking for you to reconsider. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? So when you're driving in, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
get my orientation.
Okay.
You say north and south. If
Okay.
I'm driving in, your road is the north on the right side.
The
North
north
is
would be
on
on
the
the
right.
right side.
Yeah,
Correct.
so you're on the north side. No, you're on
We're
the south side.
That was
So there
amended.
exists sidewalks now on the north side.
In the plan, but there's no
In the plan,
sidewalks.
yeah.
Proposed, proposed.
Okay. All right, thanks. You guys have any questions for the petitioners? Okay.
Yeah, one quick question. You're already established and have proper frontage on both sides. Across the new road, are there existing houses facing the road?
There's one.
Yes, one, yes. That's the home that was in favor of the of having sidewalks, yeah. They're new family with little kids, so they're the ones that were in favor of the sidewalk on that side. But ours is the only frontage on the south side, on the opposite side. And the road being a cul-de-sac, I mean, it would, if the desire was to communicate out to Parsonage Hill Road, and you had sidewalks around the cul-de-sac, there's your access, doesn't have to be on both sides. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So, I mean, Ron and I were here, I think the original application was Peachtree Estates, like
Yes,
15 years
it
ago.
was.
And then nothing happened, and they came back and it was, first phase was like, I think, 4 houses. This is not a public hearing, so we'll have to, so sit tight.
Public hearing at the end of the meeting?
This is not a public hearing, so.
Is there-
Public input.
Yes, the public,
Well, we'll have a discussion about that. We just need to just kind of we heard from the petitioners, we got to understand from Dave where we sit with all this. And then I assume that there are folks that would like to speak. No, I'm saying, I just want to understand, you are asking for that?
I am.
Okay, so we'll get back to you on that. I just want
So
to, need to
then,
talk first about where we stand with this.
then it became Hunter's Ridge,
Yeah, and they did 4 houses
correct?
with the, obviously, the idea they would continue, right? With a phase 2. Trying to
Yeah,
recall.
there's an easement map, and then there's the subdivision map for the 4 lots. And there's a note that says 50-foot wide easement for vehicular access and installation and maintenance of utilities. And then in parentheses, it says, to be relinquished if a town road is constructed within the 50-foot right-of-way in favor of lots to be relinquished. So this is the map referred to in their deed.
Yep, okay.
Correct.
So the technicality, we have a regulation that requires sidewalks, yes or no?
Yes.
I mean, we don't have, we don't have a regulation saying we have to put a stop sign at the end of the road.
Well, we do, yeah. We do, the town street
Yeah, the town's gonna do it.
policy says
Yeah.
we need to put the stop sign in. There's also a, as you know, a waiver provision in the subdivision regulations that they can request a waiver. And there's also a part of the subdivision regulations that allow them to build a 24-foot wide street as opposed to a 30-foot wide street. And the regulations sort of suggest that if it's 24 feet, it would be a good idea to have a sidewalk.
What is this, 24?
What?
What's the road size?
24.
24.
So, I mean, you do have an escape hatch to waive sidewalks, which the commission has done.
When, but we already, this has already been approved, so
Correct.
do we approve it requiring sidewalks?
Correct.
I'm trying to recall.
We did.
We did. Phase 1 and 2 together, or was it? I'm trying to
No, it's
remember
a
how
whole,
we
it's
did
a
it.
re-subdivision at this point, so all the lots are part of the subdivision.
So the last time we approved it was, Phase 2 was everything? right?
Correct.
Okay. And at that point, it was, we discussed and required sidewalks.
Correct.
So it's been approved.
Correct. And the time to appeal is up, so they can't really take it to Superior Court and have standing in Superior Court because they're too late.
How can we, what?
Well, you could modify the subdivision if there's an application. You could probably, I mean, if you wanted to eliminate the sidewalks, you could make an application as the P and Z Commission to modify the plan.
This is a site, was this a site, was this a public hearing? This
Yeah.
was a public hearing, right?
Yeah.
So we had a public hearing, we discussed it, we agreed to sidewalks
Correct.
during a public hearing.
I think we agreed to the sidewalks after the
After.
public hearing was closed as
Yeah,
part of the
Understood.
deliberations.
Right, yeah, it's part of the deliberations, okay. Commissioners, any thoughts?
The original thought, when we were approving the sidewalks, is this is a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Our city, they don't allow school buses to go down that cul-de-sac to pick kids up.
Correct.
The town's gonna have to own some kind of easement to even build like a place for the kids to sit and wait for the buses, or something's gotta go there. But if we're gonna have kids walking on the street at 7:30, I think, for Tataka Valley, pick up around 7:15, people are going to work, we're gonna ask the kids to stand in the middle of the street? That doesn't sound reasonable. That's why we said there are gonna be kids in this subdivision, you know, it's a subdivision, it's over 4 houses. We gotta give them something.
What is it, is it 13 total?
12.
12, that's right. I think Peachtree was 13.
Yeah.
So this is 12. So
13.
It's 13 now?
Well, there are 2 on Parsonage Hill,
Right.
and then there's 11 more.
13.
So there are 11 that are directly abutting Stefania's Way.
So the sidewalks now go contiguous from the beginning through the cul-de-sac and out from Parsonage Hill? Contiguous?
I don't remember.
In the original app?
It says north and south side.
That's what you approved.
including the cul-de-sac?
All the way.
All the way around?
Right.
Yeah. Anyone have any thoughts?
And the sidewalks presently are on both sides of the road? Just one?
No,
No sidewalks.
there's no sidewalks
Well,
now?
They're proposing both
Yeah,
sides of the road?
we approved the application with sidewalks on both sides. From Parsonage Hill up, inside, south side, around, and back down the north side. So when did we do that? That was a while ago.
We did that like in November, yeah,
Okay, that wasn't that long ago.
January.
Any thoughts? Further thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, can I add that we requested a waiver of sidewalks?
Hold on. Yeah, this isn't a public hearing, so.
You didn't ask if there was any if any of the public wanted to speak at the beginning of the meeting, though. Wasn't that on the agenda, public hearing and comments?
This is not a public hearing.
Doesn't the agenda have public hearing and comments?
No, that would be an application that required a public hearing. It would be under public hearing, it would be listed what that application was. This is not, this is,
Fire commissioner meeting and there's public
Thi-
hearings and comments, the public hearing.
this is not a public hearing. I apologize for being abrupt, but this is not a public hearing. We can talk later about whether we want to entertain public comments. If we do, it's got to be very specific to comment on the specific application and reasons, and not getting, not pointing fingers and getting emotional. It has to be very data-based and giving us information that we can use. So let's first see if there's any, let's,
Could we table this for now and get a public hearing?
No.
If they apply?
I mean, we can ask Dave. It seems this is an application that we approved already.
Right.
So they're just coming in to request us to consider waiving sidewalks on one side. I don't think we can even offer a public hearing. That's Ron's question.
Right now?
No, like tabling it and then coming back with a public hearing for this.
Well, it would be a site plan modification, so it wouldn't be a public hearing unless you wanted to make it a public hearing, which of course you can always make it a public hearing.
But a
But,
site plan modification we'd have to compel the developer to do
or we
that.
do it as the commission.
The other thing I was thinking, if we move the sidewalks from one side of the street to the other side, now we're putting unfair burden on the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
side, so
it's not, yeah.
it's a lose-lose.
And where do you stop it? Where would you stop the sidewalk?
Yeah. Because it goes around the cul-de-sac.
Right.
If you could stop it in the middle, then this guy doesn't, and this guy does. It's,
The Red Barn, what is, do you know, is that, I'm just, the one up in Northford, that was a big subdivision. I'm trying to think how wide the road is there. It's right off across from Old Post Road.
That's 24 feet wide,
It is, okay.
and that's a private road.
Any other thoughts on
So
this?
if it was the case of a private road, then there's an HOA association involved in maintaining the street,
Oh, yeah.
and they may maintain the sidewalks as well. It's all private at that point. This is going to be a town
This
road.
is a town road.
So Dave, the petitioner was saying they're going to be hiring somebody to maintain the sidewalk. Is that going to be their burden?
Yes, it's their burden.
Okay.
Bill, did you have a lot of public comment for or against the sidewalks at the time?
I don't exactly recall. We could look at the minutes. I honestly don't recall. I don't know if you recall. It was a public hearing and people came out, I know that.
There was a request for waiver of sidewalks, so they were not shown on the site plan. And then we got into deliberations, And that's when the question of what should we do about sidewalks came up. And we had decided before that we were not going to waive the sidewalks, and the question was, should they be on the north side or the south side or both sides?
If I could recall correctly, the people spoke on both sides to have sidewalks and not have sidewalks. And it fell back onto a new road. Sidewalks are required, it's a regulation. I mean, people did speak on, for both sides of the
In the
sidewalks.
pedestrian easement, we don't have a pedestrian easement.
How does that work? That's an interesting, I was wondering that when they were commenting. So there's an easement in the map, but it doesn't, does it have to specifically state sidewalks?
Yeah,
It does. It has to state that.
on the site plan.
Does it have to? It doesn't in this site plan, though. The one we approved, it does not, right? Does it
Yeah,
have
the
to
final-
specifically say sidewalks?
Yeah, the
Says-
final plan that we approved had sidewalks on both sides.
Got it. Okay, I understand. Yeah, okay, I see.
And it does say,
Right, understood. Yeah, I understand. So the original one did not,
correct.
for the 4 lots,
The 4 lots had no sidewalks.
no sidewalks. The original plan didn't state anything about sidewalks.
Correct, it just
So
had
there
that
was no easement.
caveat that I read
Yeah.
to you a
And then
minute
they
ago.
re-subdivided it,
Still no side.
included those 4 with addition of 9, for a total of 13,
Right.
however that works out, 13 total.
And it's still,
And at that point, during deliberations, we said we want sidewalks.
right,
So the final map includes the easement for sidewalks.
correct.
You follow that?
Yeah. So another question. On the road that I live on, the town has right-of-way, or they can expand a road or do whatever, so many feet on either side.
Right.
Can't they use that as, because I understand this couple over here, it's their property.
No, it's not their property, it's in the town, 50-foot town right-of-way.
Well, the town doesn't own it yet.
Yeah. That's-
So your regulation says sidewalks may be required on roads of reduced pavement width in accordance with section 324. And 324 says, "The commission shall require concrete sidewalks on all streets and pedestrian easements and in other places deemed appropriate by the commission." However, 323 says that you can request a waiver, and the waiver needs to explain why that's important, and you need a 3/4 vote to approve the waiver.
But to be clear, I think, I'm going to state this, just to clarify that statement, the waiver request is by the developer.
And it was,
Right.
right, he did ask for it,
He did, okay.
yeah,
And he didn't get it.
and he didn't get it.
The intent was, I think Barry started with the sidewalks were, because the contour of the land, and, you know, it's windy and snowy on top of Parsonage Hill, that safe place for the children to walk to the,
Yeah.
Where do the children walk to on others?
Yeah,
I
I live
think,
on a, just
yeah.
personal note, I live on a street that has no sidewalks,
Yeah.
and there's probably 15 children that live on the street. They walk half a mile to the bus stop, no sidewalks. And it's, you know, from my perspective, it's not a throughway, you know, it's a cul-de-sac. So the people driving on that road are the residents that live there. You know, it's not, I wouldn't be, for me, not concerned with a safety issue for the children.
But if we're gonna waive sidewalks
Yeah.
continually, why have the regulation?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
that,
should
that's
set
what,
down the
my point was
regulation.
gonna be, I appreciate that, Chris, but we say this often, and those that have been on here a while, we used to say it often, is like, I almost don't, whatever happened in the past was the past. We're trying to move forward with the town and then continuously improve and do better, and we can't really, 10 years ago you didn't do this, it doesn't matter. I don't know what happened 10 years ago. We're evaluating the data, science in front of us, and trying to move forward and continuously improve, so. But we still have to stay objective, so we're still certainly open-minded to things. But I do recall now that we had a lot of conversation on that exact thing, so, about children and what, I mean, it's a good point that, there are certainly roads, so.
Yeah, I'm like Chris, yeah, my kids,
I
my
just.
kids walk the school bus,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, I live on a double corner side. My kids
I-
walk too. so.
I'm just struggling, I struggle a little bit with the fact that this has been approved, it was approved in November, and now it's May 1st, and we're talking about something that was in place since November. So, we had a decision, we made a decision that night, it was voted and approved, I think unanimously, so it's got to be pretty compelling for us to go backwards, I think. But I'm open-minded and very objective, but I struggle a little bit with the timing of this.
You just want another clarification.
Any other comments?
Yeah, nothing.
So is this something we're supposed to vote on, or?
Yeah, what are we doing? What is this, just, we're not voting, we're just giving our opinions? I mean, it's not
Yeah,
a,
the neighbors requested to have a conversation with you.
Let me, yeah.
Neighbors or neighbor?
So,
The
one
neighbor,
thing,
one person.
this is not a public hearing, however, our discretion, we can allow for public comment. Do we
I think it
want
would
to?
be helpful.
Yeah.
So can I just ask a question, Bill, first?
Yeah.
So it seems to be safety is one of the concerns. And you can't do them on one side because it's a cul-de-sac?
I think you can, but to Ron's point, that's just telling, so all the concerns they said, we're saying, okay, sounds reasonable, now we'll just throw it on to everyone else on this side. So say there's 5 on here and 5 on here, it's like, okay, you 5 don't have to worry, but now you 5 have to.
Well, that's
you have
why
to
I
take the
kind of
burden.
asked how the public
Yeah.
hearing went. If
Yeah, that really.
there were a lot of people against having the
I
sidewalks
think
or the other way
The
around.
public hearing, to be honest with you, if I recall, it was less about the sidewalks, it was about a whole bunch of other issues. Draining, the water levels and the blasting and the
So that
wells
people
drying
didn't
up
really
and
weigh in on sidewalks per
existing,
se?
existing piles of things in the back and, solid waste contamination, not contamination, solid waste in the back by the builder or whatever.
So the neighborhood as a whole didn't really have the opportunity to weigh in on sidewalks? No.
Well, most of these houses are all to be built, so
Yeah.
you didn't have a population to.
Yeah, it's a little different. There was 4 originally and then subdivisions, so those 4 got brought into the new subdivision of 9 more to be built. It is a little unusual.
It was not discussed in
So
the public hearing.
let's, we're gonna, so this is our discretion, we're gonna allow public comment. Just please make it it's gotta be bringing data, facts. Don't get emotional, not a lot of opinions. Here's some facts that you may find useful in your decision-making.
We can't do that tonight.
Yeah, we can, this is not a public hearing. We're at our discretion allowing public comment. Very calm and succinct, please, and bringing information that would be useful to us. It can't get into, it's got to be directed at us, please. Thank you. All right, come up, state your name, address.
Ken Newbig, 180 Village Street. I also own the property at 116 Parsonage Hill Road. I'm also a developer that have developed in town. I believe this law has been in existence, or regulation has been in existence for 20 years or so. And there's no place in the rural town except for Durrell Farms that have these. This was a farm. It's a very small cul-de-sac. And you're taking away from the ruralness of this town by putting these in. On top of liability after they're installed, when the salt from the winter gets on the concrete. For those of you that don't know what happens to that, it makes the concrete spalled, such as the sidewalks out here, all the schools, at our firehouse, which, up at Company 2, which I belong. And I'm asking you to reconsider that, because I believe Durrell Farms is the only one, and you want to keep the town rural. I grew up on Parsonage Hill, walking to the bus from 4th grade down to Village Street, and on Parsonage Hill, there's maybe 3 more houses than that. You're doing away with the ruralness of the town, and also, has anybody spoke to Public Works Director on his thoughts on this? I would recommend, hearing some of that out. I did personally speak with him. I don't know, did Fran talk to you at all? No. Okay. Speak to him on that, because down the road it becomes a liability, and it's going nowhere. There's 10 houses on the road. Even if the kids have to walk up, it's I don't know how many feet's the 900 feet maybe, or not even. Yeah, it's going to do away with the ruralness of the town. It's going to put a liability on the town, and this would be the first one besides Durrell Farms that did it. I did some houses on Route 17. Yep. This law was in effect. We asked it to be waived. The board waived it because it doesn't make any sense. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Ken. So if anyone has any new information or data to share, just because it is in public hearing, it may provide value to hear more people and how many people, but we're really just looking for anything new. So if anyone has any new information, other than what Kenny has said in the petitioners, please.
My name is Bill Newbig. Who has to maintain these sidewalks?
We're just looking, at this point, this is not a public hearing, we're just looking for data relevant so we can make a decision on this. Yeah, thank you, I apologize. Yeah, it's just a little unusual because we're letting people talk, but it's not a public hearing, so.
Okay.
We're just looking for any data, things that people know that we don't know, and it would help us in our decision making.
I think if you put in sidewalks, it's a sidewalk to nowheres.
Yeah, thank you, sir, appreciate it.
Hi, Marjorie Bonides, 122 Parsonage Hill Road. The sidewalks were never discussed during our public hearings. It was not an issue. It wasn't brought up. It was brought up after the fact when you had your deliberations.
Yeah.
So had we known that was, going to be discussed, we would have
Right.
weighed in, but we never got that chance.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, good, thank you, everyone. Thanks, thank you, yep. All right, everyone.
Just a quick one. I know it's been brought up, it's a sidewalk to nowhere. It's a sidewalk to the bus stop. Where do you put the value? God forbid, it's icy up there, car slids, the boys are playing soccer in the middle of the road. How do you put a value on a kid's life? I don't want to be the one to say, screw the sidewalks, let the kids play in the middle of the street. Maybe I'm getting too old.
Did we talk about a pad at the end, or that was a different one? Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about a pad because I made a stink because.
Is there one part of, sorry, is that one part of the plan?
Say that again?
I think we talked about, I don't know if it's, other times you have talked about putting like a pad at the end, like
Yeah,
for
for
a
the
place
kids to
for
wait.
kids to
We do have
stand.
there is a place.
There is a place, okay.
Yep.
So that
Yeah,
sort of addresses,
yes, that-
they have to get to the pad, but when they're there, they can stand on the pad. As
Right.
much as you can make a kid stand on a pad when he's waiting for the bus. I'll just argue that, right? The reality of it. I understand what you're saying, but we were all kids, right?
Just as much as.
Stand here,
Forcing
yeah,
them to walk
I don't
on the
think so.
sidewalk.
I would have stood there, so. I'm not
Yeah,
a
some
good-
will and most won't, yeah. I don't know, that's my opinion. All right, do we have any further discussion on this? How are we feeling about this? Anyone? So, I'm sorry, Commission. What are we doing tonight? Just giving are we approving this? We have to make a motion?
If you wanted to change your decision, you would have to make an application to yourselves to modify the site
Wow.
plan from the subdivision. And then it would come back and you could discuss it, you could have a public hearing, it's not required. And then you could vote on the application and approve the modification or deny it. Or you can do nothing, There's no application in front of you now.
yeah.
I mean, the procedure was to go to Superior Court and make your argument in front of a judge. I mean, that's the way the system's set up.
For clarity, the petitioners to go, not us.
You know, the other question, that's not so much a question as a statement. There's a big stink about our taxes, and I personally think sidewalks would increase property value.
Disagree.
Helping our taxes.
Absolutely
It's gonna cost us money. Hire homeowners.
When they start going from the stall, it's gonna cost you money. And in the town, it's a rural town, it's like,
Yeah. All right, so, this is not a public hearing, but I appreciate, I think, but thank you, because I think we heard that it probably doesn't increase your property's value. That's anecdotal, but it probably doesn't increase it, because I know certainly insurance would be more, for sure. It's like having a pool, you know? So, do we want to entertain an applicant? This might be new for me, 20 years, I don't think I ever had an application to ourselves. We'll make an application to ourselves. We can have Paul and maybe Bob will be here, we can have full discussion. When do we have to decide if, I don't know if we want to do a public hearing on it, because I'm not sure.
I would think that you may want to just wait 2 weeks, mull it over,
Yeah,
and have the full commission here
yeah.
and talk about it then.
Yeah, I keep falling back on, we have the regulation.
Yeah.
You
No, I know.
If we keep wavering it,
I know.
you know, we pull the regulation then.
Why don't can we pull the minutes? I would like to see what we said about this, because I'm kind of recalling what we said. So I propose we just table this for the next meeting. Can we get the minutes from that meeting?
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have Lynn send us the minutes to that meeting, can refresh our memories.
Yeah, if I recall, in one of the meetings, one of the neighbors, it was across the street neighbor, she came up and asked for us to enforce the sidewalk regulation. And it was at that time, that was one of the first meetings. I remember because she was pregnant. And I remember her speaking up and asked for us to enforce the sidewalk regulation. At that point, everybody else wanted to talk about a swell in property 10, back in that property. We talked about the swell we did a traffic study.
Yep.
We did a lot, but then the sidewalks nobody else spoke about sidewalks. And, it was a part of one of our recommendations, so we were going to enforce the sidewalk regulation. Now.
Yeah, it would be good.
Yeah, yeah.
And we also should make sure we all agree to how we feel about sidewalks too. Like Ron said, are we gonna do it or not, Are we gonna have sidewalks or not? Holistically, I'm not talking just this application.
Yeah.
Like moving on, we should have that conversation, like, is it just gonna be if people want it or not? I mean, we should probably have a position,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, can I have a word? Would it be okay for me to speak, or is it too late for me to speak?
I'm fine with that, yeah. Are you the builder? Yeah, yeah, of course.
Good evening.
Well,
Joe-
I mean, you're the public.
Joe Charliglio, Luancy Construction. I am the builder, I'm the developer. We did come in front of this commission, and we were proposing the subdivision with no sidewalks. And we actually requested that the sidewalks be waived to keep the rural look
Yeah.
of the town.
Yep.
The conversation was had, as you mentioned before, one of the neighbors, one of the existing homeowners made it, she wanted sidewalks because she has small children, and she felt that creating this new community, Halloween, and where the children could walk and do their trick-or-treating, and the commission acted on that. They said for safety purposes, they were
Understood.
looking to create the sidewalks. I'm here to do whatever this commission
Yeah.
wants to do. I was in favor of no sidewalks, but the sidewalks were imposed upon me to do.
Understood.
I have now contracted with someone to start the sidewalks. I have someone, the road is paved, and so I know that, and I appreciate you, that the commission is willing to hear to one of the neighbors' concerns about sidewalks. But my concern is at this point, if we're going to hear their concerns, are we, and then agree not to do sidewalks, are we then going to have to hear the concerns of the other neighbors that want the sidewalks? This commission did make a decision, and, and the time has gone by. Again, once again, I'm in favor. If you don't want me to do the sidewalks, by all means. But my question is, are we going to create more meetings on top of meetings? I mean, I have put this in motion, and I've been following the regulations that the town has set for me, with the town engineer as well. Where does that put me is my question at this point.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of whatever you
Valid-
decide to do, but it's something that's going to
comment.
have to be, if you're going to decide to go forward and request of a change in your own decision, I'm just hoping that that takes place rather quickly, because,
Understood.
once again, I do have the wheel in motion here. If you agree to not to do the sidewalks, by all means, I'm in favor of it. I mean, that was a request that
Understood.
we did, you know?
Yeah.
I'm only here to abide of what
Yeah.
was set for me to do.
Yeah, we appreciate that, too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I would also say, when you review the minutes, you'll see that on 2 successive minutes, there were mentions of north side of street sidewalks.
Okay.
And so we really were blindsided when, after the last meeting, without discussion of the one family, the one home that had that frontage, that was blindsided by that. So I'd ask you to pay attention to that, because the decision to put sidewalks on the other side was never really aware of, so the whole thing about a deadline and appeal to limit we were totally blindsided. Well, I found out about the sidewalks when I got the letter from Mr. Chargaglio saying
Got it.
that it was time.
Understood. Okay, that's
Thank
good.
you.
That's good. That's another data point. I didn't have that. So you hear that, so, because I was unclear about that, so.
What was that you were?
No, just that, I mean, I guess he could have saw the site plan. He was not aware that we made the decision after to include sidewalks on both sides until you contacted him with the letter.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
It was approved with.
No, I understand. No, I understand. Yeah. No, I understand. Okay. Okay, I totally appreciate the builder's request, though. We can't belabor this.
Yeah, we can't-
We made a decision in November. So if we're going to do something, we need to be expeditious about this in courtesy to him, because he wants to do the right thing, according to our regulations that we're
Correct.
imposing on him, so.
Right. So
Can
he
we?
he can wait 2 weeks, and
Okay, so let's make it a point, get the minutes, look them over, think, mull it in your head, let's, at the next meeting, really tackle this. Good, makes sense? Okay.
I do think it's sort of a high bar for you to overturn your decision
Yeah.
that you previously made.
Okay. Does that sound like a plan? Okay.
I mean, that'll work for me, except, we made a decision.
I know.
We can't roll back the decision we made. We had a public hearing, we can't roll back the public hearing.
That was also based on one person's concern, right?
Yeah, I mean, the only tidbit, a little bit, in fairness to the petitioners, is we made that change during deliberations, and the public was not able to discuss that with us any further. But that's just a tidbit, that's a fact.
I remember a young woman who was 10 months pregnant. I mean, she was, we're on TV. There was a pregnant woman
Yeah.
that made a point about
Right.
wanting sidewalks, and that was during the public hearing.
Right, but we didn't, the application was without sidewalks. And during deliberations, someone must have brought that person's comment out, and that started us on this discussion about sidewalks. That's when we imposed sidewalks. During deliberations, the public hearing was closed. If anyone wanted to say anything further, they couldn't. It was closed. This was our discussions.
Well, we got to check.
So
on
it
that.
wasn't like-
We got to check on that.
Yeah, well, that's exactly, that's why we'll get the minutes.
Yep.
Let's get the minutes, please, if everyone could really read the minutes. That's reasonable, get us the minutes, right?
Yeah, and it's not, it's not an appealable decision at this point because it's too late. So, you're backtracking on what you decided before. You can do that, it's fine. It's just sort of,
Yeah, it's not usual.
right.
It'd be I don't recall ever doing this, 20 years I've been here, so. Okay.
Do you recall ever making sidewalks in any other developments?
Okay, let's,
Yeah, no, yeah, that's not data or facts that we can use in our decision-making.
Sorry.
Good try. You almost had me, Ken.
Yeah,
You almost had me. No, thank you.
You want to
We're-
think about it, because the
Yeah.
town has done many
Yep.
things, and after they get going,
Yeah.
they do the wrong thing. You just,
All right.
please think about it,
Yep.
that's all I can ask.
Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, do we need a motion? We can just table this, right? Okay, we are going to table this point to the next meeting. Good? All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. All right, so the next order of business under 6B is application 2025-3, 32 Cyril Road. It's an I-2 zone. It's a site plan request under Section 23, Schedule A, line C15, for the construction of a new 80,000 square foot building for a fence company, including site improvements. Owner Robert Miller. The third applicant James Preddy, PE, LS Criscola Engineering, LLC.
Good evening. Jim Preddy, Criscola Engineering, 420 East Main Street in Branford. I'm representing Bobby Miller, who's also here in the back. They own Gateway Fence. They're looking to build a shop for themselves on one of the industrial lots in the subdivision on Cyril Road that Triana had done almost 20 years ago, I think. The lot is a rear lot, as you can see on here. This is lot 3 in the front, where there's a detention basin. I think this might have been the site of the propane storage application in the front here. So this is a rear lot. Lot 280 is to the north here on this plan. So what we're looking to do, it's actually not an 80,000 square foot building. It's actually 9,000. Between applications, it changed a little bit, but it was 9,000, so there's 7,000 square foot warehouse, high bay kind of thing for shop, storage, that kind of thing. And then the 2,000 square foot office space, which is one single story. We have a storm water network that ties into the detention basin. That was actually, this was part of the subdivision. All these lots were developed with the intent was that the lots would go into that detention basin. So that was already sized for all these lots, actually. We have the septic system in the rear here that's already been approved by East Shore. We do have a small little wetland filling area here that was approved by your wetland commission. This whole application was approved by the wetland commission.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I ask, did you modify this? Am I looking at something different?
No, this is colored, I think.
This is color, this is sheet 2.
Yeah, okay. The building just looks different. The one I have.
Submitted plans.
It has the, these things on this.
No, it's just the shape of it.
The single.
Yours is rectangular. probably is the same.
Oh,
Okay.
So anyway, we did receive wetland approval already, we got shore approval already. This paved area here is to be able to maneuver trucks, load, we do a guardrail, so they have pieces that are a little bit long, so they got, come in and load things up. And again, shop and storage area inside, the doors to the building will be facing the rear. We do have somewhere here. The doors to the shop area will be facing the rear, but obviously the front, the building, the office area will be facing the front.
So what did you, there was original application that was bigger? This was, was it the same?
Application that went to wetlands, the building shape has changed a little bit since then.
Oh, okay, no, but it was,
It didn't increase the impervious surface, we basically traded pavement for building.
got it, okay. Yep.
But this is, like, so it'll have, basically, there'll be siding facing the road, although this is a rear lot, and when the front ever gets developed, you really won't see this building anymore. Right now you can't because the front lot's all overgrown. But office area in front, and then in the rear, we'll have the doors facing the other direction, facing the yard, basically. We had, again, there was a small wetland filling area that they approved. We added, wetland plantings, created a buffer along that edge. We do have this green shaded area here is some, foundation plantings that will be installed. Minimal parking, again, it's just for basic employees. Probably get a few people, customers come to the shop once in a while. They're, as far as regular vehicles, very low kind of traffic. And again, this note is here, if you have any questions about the business.
Yeah, maybe, do you have a statement of work or something? Yeah, maybe just come up with your name and maybe just what the business is a little bit more, just so I understand.
Sheet 2 on the bottom, there's just.
Oh, there it is, yeah, there, thank you.
Hi, my name is Robert Miller. I'm one of the applicants, my father as well. We're just a small local fence installation company. We actually cover from Maine to Florida, but we're based out of Branford here. We've done a lot of work in town. We did your high school tennis courts, the ones in the center. We've done, throughout the park name, we did some guardrail in town and some other projects with you guys, with Fran from Public Works. And we just do a lot of municipal work, no residential, no foot traffic. We work for all towns and state and federal. So no personal traffic, just our own stuff. We're going to be fencing in our own yard with full privacy fence so no one can see in or out, keep everybody happy. We know a fence company. So, so that'll be one less thing for people to object to. We'll have a full security system in there for our own protection, cameras, everything. Full paved lot, so it'll be nice and clean. No dust control problems. We're going to pave as much as you guys will allow us to. That way we can keep it nice and neat and keep happy neighbors. And then as far as deliveries, a lot of our stuff goes directly, so we just have small deliveries once every month, maybe 2 months, of just, nuts, bolts, fastenal trips. As far as a lot of our stockpile, it's just a little bit of leftover. Everything's crated, neat, racked, so it's not like there's just stuff sprawled across. Everything will be very, very neat. Just a clean shop.
I don't have any questions? Any,
Do you have enough room in the back to maneuver a tractor trailer into the garage doors?
There won't be any tractor trailers. All of our trucks are about 25 feet or less in length. All of our trucks are smaller. Our deliveries will come into the yard, but they won't actually go into the building. So we won't have to actually maneuver a full tractor trailer into the building. All of our stuff comes on flatbed, so we just would unload it with a forklift, and whatever would go in the building would just be forklifted.
But there is enough room for them to turn around back there.
Yes, so we'll-
That's the point of the paved area.
Yeah, so we'll have our trucks, nothing will ever be street loaded.
Maybe once or twice a year, you know,
It's not often.
your supplier sends a tractor trailer.
They can, yeah, we have it where the tractor trailer can come 100% on our property within the gated area, unload safely with no objection to the road.
And I was just thinking, enough room, tractor trailer maneuver up to the loading dock, the forklift does its thing.
Yeah, yeah, we have ample room, yeah.
Cool.
Dave, any staff
I
comments?
got no feedback. No.
Sent out, police, fire, engineer,
Yep.
nothing? Nothing
The
meaning?
engineering, the water.
Right, I think he had a question about the stormwater, but he was unaware of the report from when we did the subdivision, which Dave found in the file, so I think he's all set.
I think we did, Inland's did a site walk on that, we didn't think.
Yes.
Yes,
Way back when Kerry was here, I
yeah, and they did, Inland Wetlands did a walk this time too.
think, too, okay. Got it, okay?
And Dave, for the parking lot, is there parking already there?
No, there's nothing there now.
There's nothing there.
Okay.
There's some parking in the front.
Yeah,
We showed some parking along the front here.
they don't have to do the EV law, do they? So to say.
They don't have enough.
No.
Yeah, we're less than 30, so.
Good, all right. Yeah, I didn't count, I was just making sure, yeah.
So you like white oaks?
I'm sorry?
You like white oaks?
Yeah.
Go fast.
And the winterberry shrubs.
Right.
It is a-
But it's fully fenced with privacy fencing.
Yeah, we're gonna make it so that,
Yeah.
everything is privacy, with the exception of maybe the front end.
It's set back.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like you said, you only, you know,
I think the only spot that we may not do privacy is,
it's industrial anyway, it's IT.
right here, this is where we're proposing to have our own gate, so that we may just have so people can see in and out. Other than that,
Of course.
boom, 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 everything will be privacy good to go.
Good. Anyone have any further comments or discussion? No comments from staff?
No.
No, so open.
Thank you for including an accessible space, considering you're not having much traffic.
Secretary. Oh, Mr. Secretary.
It's so often
That's for
overlooked.
Chris and
Yeah.
Janet if they want to see.
I'm sure.
All right.
I make a motion to approve planning and zoning application number 2025-3, site plan request under section 23, Schedule A, line C-15, for construction of a new 8,000 square foot building for a fence company, including the improvements at 32 Syra Road, Assessor Map 27C, Lot 39-2, Zone I-2. Owner, Robert Miller III. Applicant, James Preddy, P.E., L.S., Crisolo Engineering, LLC, as contained in submitted application documents and shown on plans entitled Property located at number 32 Syra Road, North Branford, Connecticut. Prepared by Crisolo Engineering, LLC. Issue date January 16, 2025, with the revision containing the following sheets. Sheet 1 of 5, existing conditions plan dated January 16, 2025. Sheet 2 of 5, proposed site layout plan dated January 16, 2025, revised February 4, 2025. Sheet 3 of 5, proposed site grading and utilities plan dated January 16, 2025, revised March 7, 2025. Sheet 4 of 5, site details dated January 16, 2025. Sheet 5 of 5, erosion and sediment control notes and details dated January 16, 2025, revised March 7, 2025. And conceptual plans prepared by Pacesetter Construction Corporation dated March 25th, 2025, containing the following sheets. Sheet A100, proposed building plan. Sheet A200, proposed elevations. With the following standard conditions: 1C, 2, 4, 7, 8, 9, 19. No special conditions, right?
Correct.
Second?
Second.
Before you vote, can I just, I don't know if it makes a difference, the plans do show 9,000 square foot building, and in the beginning you said 8.
It's less?
No,
More.
he said 8, but on the plan it says it's 9,000.
Okay.
Just,
Duly noted.
You said it was plus or minus.
okay.
Duly
It's
noted.
nine.
Yeah,
I just,
motion
when we do the as-built, I don't want that
The
to become
motion
an
will
issue.
reflect it.
Yep.
It does say 8,000 on it, but.
All right, Ron, second?
Yep.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstain? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, James. Thanks, good luck.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Question, when are you going to move in?
As soon as the piggy bank rattles it out.
Yeah,
That's right.
Far now.
Good luck with that.
That's the hardest part, I feel.
Yeah.
So,
Good luck to you.
we're hoping to break ground towards the middle to end of summer.
Yeah.
That's the hope. Since we're going, unfortunately, we're a busy season. So
Yeah.
it's about
Yeah,
too much to go.
got it. Good luck to you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right, next under other business, Schedule A discussions.
I have not had a chance to
Yeah.
write up our stuff for
It's all right. Yeah, good. We'll do that next time.
Right,
And same with the town center, right?
correct.
We'll table that. All right, town planners reports.
I have no new applications.
Okay. Good. All right, so just again, when we get can we have Lynn or someone dig those minutes out?
I will
So we have a good amount of time to look at them beforehand.
I will send you all sorts of information next week.
Yes, perfect. Can we talk about, we can talk about anything we want, all right?
Yeah.
It's on record. Yeah, I mean, I think that we just have to think about this, right? Because like Dave said, it's a pretty high bar, right? I mean, we approved it in November, it's May 1st, and kind of backtracking, and, I mean, I really feel for the
Yeah,
the
he's
developer
ready-
doesn't want to do it, but he's already commissioned someone to come out and do it, he's ready to break ground. It's like, we can't drag our feet on that.
money, I don't think he'll care to.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Right, well, he called me up and, you know, they're parking their trucks in the right of way and their signs up and it's like, what do I do? So tell him we told you to do it.
Yeah. So let's make sure we act accordingly, expeditiously. All right, anything else?
No, I think it's time for Ron to
Ron's
make his
turn.
motion.
Yeah, just remember Mother's Day's coming, and a new battery for a car doesn't make it.
Does it?
It does.
How about a vacuum?
This is years of experience. I thought it was, actually it was snow tires, but that's another story. I motion we adjourn.
All right, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thanks, everyone.